Вітаю вас на нашому вебінарі сьогоднішньому. Доброго вечора всім. Перш ніж ми почнемо, хотілося б з вами привітатися і задати невеличке питання. Чи дозволяєте ви своїм учням користуватися гаджетами у класі на уроках? So, do you allow your students to use gadgets in the classroom? Напишіть, будь ласка, плюс чи мінус, якщо бачите це питання. Окей, вітаємо. Hello from Чернівці. Hello. Yes, you do. Так. Right. Разрешаем, хорошо. Sometimes, from time to time, plus. Okay. So, я дуже рада, що ми з вами на одній хвилі знаходимося зараз. Дозвольте спочатку привітатися, хто я і де я взялася у вас тут. Я викладач англійської мови у приватній школі BC Language School. Виступаю часто на різних конференціях з методики викладання мови. Також ви можете подивитися мої вебінари з приводу презентацій та використання інтернету. Там більш універсальні якісь є підказки. Але сьогодні ми поговоримо саме про методику використання різних ресурсів, інтернет-ресурсів, саме під час уроку, як це було б зручніше зробити. Можемо ознайомитися зараз з вами з тим, що ми будемо працювати з нашим планом. Але, так як ми говоримо все ж таки про англійську мову, то хотілося б звернути вашу увагу, що ми будемо говорити англійською, тобто іноземною. We're going to talk with you today about the role of interaction between a teacher and students during the lesson using the communicative approach and how the internet can influence that, how it can improve maybe or maybe worsen it, vice versa in that way. Also, we're going to talk about if the internet resources could be the Pandora box. Is it really true? Or maybe it's false, so we're going to work it through. As well, we're going to talk about the structure of a lesson with internet technologies implemented. So we're going to work through the little details which we have to address if we need this in our lesson. As well as we're going to talk about the practical links. I will show you several websites which personally I use, which work for my classroom, which work with my different groups. I want to remind you that I work with the teenagers, preteens, with adult groups. So these are, most of them, they work together. So they work in this case. So first things first, let's talk about that. So interaction in the classroom. It's actually absolutely different. And I would like to ask you the question, do you think that interaction in the class or during the lesson, is it possible without any technology? Can you tell me, please? Okay. Hello, yes. So, if we talk about the interaction one, okay. Якщо ви вчитель французької мови, я можу вам допомогти. Пізніше напишіть мені, будь ласка, у Facebook, я вам покажу, як користуватися деякими іншими сайтами, які я знаходила саме з французькими. Ці сайти також можуть вам допомогти, тому що деякі з них, тому що вони будуть більш адресовані на універсальне, тобто на більш універсальні практики під час вивчення іноземних мов. So yes, it is possible, of course, yes, of course. Yeah, so interaction, it actually doesn't mean that you have to use only the technology, you have to use the internet, you have to use the whiteboard or anything. Interaction, it's basically what you have between you and your student. So if I'm a teacher and I feel that I can speak to the student, it's already the interaction out there, interaction between the students and everything. We're going to take a look at the interaction patterns right now with you. And here it is like a little diagram about different interaction patterns. So here we have something like with the player, which is like a person, and another one, a little circle, that would be the game or the teacher. The game is actually how we implement our students. So single player versus the game, it means like we have teacher-student, only teacher-student, or maybe we can talk with multiple students and with the teacher. However, this is very teacher-centered lesson. I wouldn't recommend to use this. However, it depends on the age. So for example, if we're talking about sometimes about the lessons with the preteens, something like 5th grade or 6th grade, we can actually work it through like this, like all together, or maybe in pairs, so we can control them, like player versus player, students versus student. However, it would be much more common if we have like a group work, or maybe we can observe the group work, so they control each other. So my favorite way of actually my favorite interaction, that would be the multilateral competition or unilateral competition, because this creates the illusion that the students are working on their own. And this creates also the illusion that they control the lesson, and we need to give them this force so that they feel free how to use the language, how to work it out. During this group work, we have to always monitor, we have to listen what they are talking about so that we could give them a good feedback in that way. So, and basically, what we have to remember, if we're talking about the interaction during the lesson, it's not necessary to use the internet. However, we're going to talk about some tips which are gonna work out for us. Because if we're using the internet technology, it can bring our interaction to the next level. You might be surprised how the internet can improve the interaction of the person. So if they are talking just about maybe some kind of technology, or about the computers, about the cartoons, or about anything like that, so they at first might think about some simple stuff, but if we give them some more pop culture elements, or if we're giving them more interactive way, or maybe like the picture, or maybe like a little music, or maybe like another website to look at, you will be surprised how the students will actually succeed in their language. They will use those patterns. They will be ready to use the present perfect, even though they are in the 3rd form, or maybe in the 4th form, where they haven't that yet. So basically, why do we need to use the interaction pattern, and why do we need to use the internet for that? Because we're talking about the developing the communicative skills of the student. We talk about, when we're talking about the communicative competence, we need to know that our students wait from us language, so grammar and vocabulary, and how to use the language. So basically they need the functions, and this will form the communicative competence of the student. So basically, if we're talking about that, we must address that all the technologies, all the websites that we're using have to be actually so they have to be used for the sake of the knowledge, not for the sake of the technology. That's once again. If we're talking about the vocabulary and grammar, we have to make the input at first, and then we're gonna have the outcome, as well as for the functional language, as you can see on the blue head over there, how to use the language. So where they could use it, where could they write it? Could they write it on the internet to the chat? Could they make a comment on their favorite music video? Could they talk to somebody on the webcam through Skype, or maybe something else? So all these things, they have to actually bring up our students so that they could understand that they can use it in that particular context out there. All right, so since we're talking that, there is always a fear, and personally I also had this fear in my practice, in my classroom, that if we implement the internet, would it be the evil in the class? Would it be the real evil in the class? So I would tell you that yes and no. And that is why I actually picked up this skull thing here. Well, if we talk about, you have to take a look at what your students know, what they need, and what is their attitude towards the technology. Because if they don't want to use the internet, so for example, if they have they have too many ICT lessons, or maybe they are coming from the IT family, where the father is a programmer and mother is, I don't know, like content developer or something, and they are just fed up with the technology. Then you might actually step aside from that. However, also there might be the students who don't have access to the internet, who do not understand how to use it properly, or maybe they even simply they don't have any gadgets apart from like one big, very big PC computer that they can use only at home, and their father is using it only for the working experiences and all the other parts. So you have to be very careful about that. However, in order to succeed, I would really at least try to implement those technologies. So we've got over here, today we're going to see a lot of different kinds of those websites that could be useful during the classroom, how you could use them during the lesson. And basically, this is the way, this is the webinar that I wanted you to be not lost, because usually, since we're the 21st century teachers, we might get lost because of the amount of different applications, amount of different websites, because we can use anything. And there is a lot of right now seminars and webinars on STEM education, on how to use the technology in the classroom for the grammar, or for the math, for different subjects, also for English too. But again, this is the way what works for me. And basically, if you want to use something, you have to follow several rules. The rules are very simple. First of all, that if you want to implement or integrate the technology or internet to the lesson, it must be transparent and it must become a routine. Because if this is something like a reward to the student, this cannot happen at all. Because if this is a reward, they do not feel like they are learning. They feel only like the gaming part. Yes, of course, we have to stay fun with the student. We have to stay with them on the same level. We have to live fun in our lesson. However, it must be routine and they must understand what to do. That's why it should be accessible and readily available. So if you have the lesson and you want to use some kind of technology, I really recommend you at first to check the access to the internet. Is it available? Are all of your students aware what they have to do? And does this actually show does this support the curricular goals that we're looking for? So we want to form the communicative competence of our students. That's why it must not be just for the sake of technology or just for the sake of the game. It must have some purpose. We must speak about that. We must work through that. So again, it must be routine and it must be transparent. It must be accessible and readily available for every single student. Of course, we have to support the curricular goals, and we, as a teacher, we must help our students achieve their own goals, not only the ones that we have on our lesson plan. We have to also address what they need, so we have to look at the students' needs out there. So basically, we need to remember what we are teaching, who we are teaching, how we are teaching, and how will you know the students are taught. So basically, I have told this before on one of my previous webinars, that we have to plan the lesson usually from the end to the beginning, because we need to understand that in the language classroom, in the language lab, our students need to get some product in the end. So usually we have like the product, it's like maybe speaking or writing or maybe some kind of understanding the text or understanding the target language. It's a lot of different things that you can plan over. But we, as practical teachers, we have to work from the bottom to the top. What I mean by this, if you want to use the internet tool during the classroom, I really recommend you not to use it as a product part. So you could use it as a drill, you could use it as a test, you can do this as a practice or freer practice or any other kind of way, but it's not the product. It's more like a tool that can help you actually work through different moments, that can work through, that can make the learning process easier for you and basically for students. So in order to remember about the lesson planning, you have to remember about the timing. Because sometimes, especially when you first time implement the internet technology or any kind of link or any even presentation, just offline presentation, you have to make the timing right. What I mean by this is that at first it might take a little bit more time. Later it will get shorter and shorter so that it would be clear and available to the student. Because first time you will have actually to explain a little bit more. You will have to spend a little bit more time for CCQs or maybe some explanations or instructions for that matter. What I mean by this, so for example, you could say that I want to use the YouTube for our classroom, but you don't know how to, but they don't know how to enter to their account or to the account of their parents or something. So you might have extra planned 10-15 minutes for that, so that they could understand what they have to do, how they have to do, and what they have to press or not press in that way. So, but this is only the first time, because believe me, students of different ages, they catch it really quickly. So for example, I had a lesson on how to write an email. So we had an email creation in the lesson with the 4th grade, and I decided that we have to do the lesson on the digital citizenship, how they have to behave, what kind of password should they have, who must know the password, and all the other parts there. So, and I actually planned almost like 20 to 25 minutes, I don't remember exactly, but for using the internet to write the email. So they had to write the email to their parents. Of course, I warned their parents prior so that they could understand what is going on, why the student is writing there. So we created that. So, and we actually I had to tell them step by step in English what to click, where to put, what to type in, what to type on the phone if they have the phone version, or what to type if they have the other version, or what they have to do on the PC or on the laptop out there. So, but the next time, so the first time it took like 20 minutes, but the next time it already took like 10, because they already knew what to do and they were helping each other. So peer help is really important in there. So that is why, remember that if you're teaching using the technology, you must remember who you are teaching, what you're teaching, what is your purpose, and why you need this in the lesson. Because just for fun, it's no good. It actually, you shouldn't work with that. But today, actually, except for the lesson planning parts and anything like that, we're going to talk about a lot of different websites that actually personally work for me. And I hope that they will help you to spice your lessons up just a little bit so that you could feel like, okay, I accomplished something, I know, and the students will feel that they also know something. First of all, I want to show you one website which is called nameacronym.net. If you're watching this from the laptop or from the computer, so I really recommend you to come to that website. And you can go for that, and as you can see, there is like a little tab where you have word list, enter your name or word. You can enter your name in English. You can enter the topic of yours in English, and from the word list you can press on a little arrow over there, and and there you could choose any topics that are given. So for example, I entered the name Urok into that nameacronym.net, and I chose the word list positive. And I've got different words there, something like nice, adorable, unreal, right, one, and knowing. Over there, we've got here the different words. I would like you right now to have like a little task. I want to enter your name or any kind of animal, something like dog, cat, I don't know, Євгенія, German, or anything like that, and post it on the chat. What have you got from those names? So I mean like from the words, because you can get any names out there. So as I told you, I entered Urok. You can enter any of your names. If you enter, by the way, the name, there is also an option. It gives you what it means from Greek, what it means from Roman, and all the other parts. Okay, so я можу говорити українською, німецькою, але я хотіла показати більше англійською мовою, so sorry about that. Ви можете написати мені у Фейсбуці, поговоримо про використання на німецькій мові, на уроках німецької мови, що потрібно. So, you found the website, okay, that's good. Can you try it at least? Like maybe you can enter some little name. Okay, so I'm pretty happy. All right. Okay. Oh, hello. Well, nevertheless, I hope that it will work for you, actually. So it works. Okay, I'm pretty happy to see that. So I hope that it will work. So you can practice that after our session. You can download this and try it on your own. Again, if you have any questions, please address to the comment section or to the chat so that we can work through some questions there. So done. Yeah. So, and I hope that you got this actually, because it's very simple. However, it can be a great spicing up to the lesson. I used it several times actually to show the topic to the lesson, or maybe when you just start the year in September, or maybe you finish the year. So you can actually they can actually create their own name acronyms. I mean, about the students out there. All right. So this is the first part that we got. Now, another website that I want to share with you, if you have watched our intense on 16th of March, I have shown this website to you. It's called Books, Google, Com, or Ngrams, and it shows the usage of the words of different in different areas, in different ways, how often it was used. By the way, I will switch to Russian or Ukrainian right now. Цей вебсайт, який я зараз показую, тобто Books, Google, Ngramy, можна використовувати англійською, німецькою, іспанською, французькою та іншими мовами. Головне, що ви повинні ввести слова, які вам цікаві, наскільки часто вони використовуються. Ви повинні ввести часовий проміжок, який там є, тобто між 1800 та 2000, який ви зараз бачите, але ви можете ввести, наприклад, з 1950 по 2010, і ви побачите, як буде використовуватися це. So, as you can see, I have here a little thing like professional bookkeeper out there. So, and this bookkeeper, you know, like it's not used already. You can meet this word only in the books, and basically bookkeeper was used as an accountant function, but it was used only in the 1950s, 60s out there. So you will try this after the webinar, and I hope that you will love this, to be honest. All right. So another one that I want to share with you, this is one of my favorites because I pretty much adore using music during the lesson in every single way, and that would be Urban Dictionary. Why? Because in the songs, you can sometimes hear some slang words or something misunderstanding. You can meet some slang words even in the chats or in the comment sections, and the children, they wouldn't know, or teenagers, with the sincere eyes, they would come to you and could you tell me please, what does this mean? And you would understand that this is maybe like a curse word, a bad word. And there you can actually go for the urbandictionary.com. By the way, they have a very nice application for that, and you can enter that word and it will give you explanation by the native speaker what it means, what was there, and etc. So for example, after the elections in America, there was one word created like Russia-blicken, a Republican who endorses or simply does not care about Russia's verified interference in 2016 election. So this is more like an American word out there. But be aware that there is a lot of mature content, there are a lot of curse words out there, so if you're using that, try to understand that try to make it yourself before, so try to test it out yourself before you implement this into the classroom, because sometimes children might click on the wrong word or something, so you know about that. However, again, it gives you a very nice feeling of a live language, so that you see, aha, so this is used there, and they give you the examples where you can see that. Another one that I wanted to show with you, again, it's connected to the music. It's about the lyricstraining.com. This is one of my favorites because you can implement it into the pair work. You can make a group project with that. You can make individual individual lesson with that, or individual activity for some students. So I think everybody knows that sometimes there are eager beavers. So they are very active and they don't want to work it out and they want to jump out of the chair and they don't want to work as a group, or they don't want to sit still for some time. So what I actually thought of, this was the idea of my colleague, and she told that you could make you can choose one song which by the topic of the lesson, or maybe it's connected somehow to the vocabulary that we're using. You could go for the lyricstraining.com. By the way, again, it can be in English, Spanish, German, Russian, whatever. So and they play the game. They think they play a game, but basically they are listening. So this is very good for oral recognition part, especially if you choose like the beginner or intermediate level. For advanced, it's a little bit more complicated. So you have to look at the level of your students yet again. So how it works? There are two modes, and a lot of teachers sometimes forget about that. There are two modes in there, where you have to type and where you have to actually choose the word from 4 variants from the one that they hear. And for students, I mean like from the 5th to the 9th grade, I would actually prefer to use the choose mode, not the type mode. Type mode is more about the 11th grade and independent on their level. So, and you could have it as another task for homework, because they will do something, they will actually have it as a personalized lesson. They will understand, oh, she's interested in what I listen to. She's interested in the music that I like or something. I actually really love this website to use in the classroom as the homework. And to be honest, some of my students showed me the artists that I didn't know. And personally, I listen to them right now, or at least, I don't listen to them. At least I understand what is going on in their heads. So I'm trying to work with that at least. If we're talking about the lyrics training, so here they are just listening. They sometimes don't realize what it means. So they could go to the Urban Dictionary and stuff. But what if you want to analyze the lyrics so that they could think about well, what it could be, what it could mean, what this is the allusion for, what is the hyperbolized there. So I would recommend for you to go to the website, which is called genius.com. And mind that there is no O in the genius. In this website, what you could do, you can listen to the song. However, it's for the Apple Music users. Unfortunately, I'm not the Apple Music, but there is such a website as YouTube, and you can put it on the background music there. And there, you can go for the artist. You can find any artist over there, the one they listen to or anything. And as you can see here, we have like the example from Ariana Grande, like Thank You Next song. And you can see that there is highlighted words in gray. You can click on that. They will go. They will become yellow, and there will be a comment from the artist. What precisely do these words mean? So this will also make them a little bit more personalized. Why did they use these words? And they will understand what the song is about. Not just like boom, boom, boom. What is going on in my head? It will be actually really good in the way you are looking. You're looking at the lyrics, because they will not actually just listen to that, and it will not feel like the game, because they will want more to analyze. They will have the wish more to actually get deeper into the language. What is going on in that idiom, and what did she mean by that? Also, you can see that there is like featured stories, top songs, videos, and communities. In the videos, there are the artists explaining their lyrics, basically. There are some good ones, there are some bad ones. I want to address at once, actually, that there is even such a rapper as the Zigner. I think if you're teaching teenagers, you should know already. This is the one who is singing like skr-tr-tr и тому подобное. So, and basically, he also explains what is meaning out there, what he's meaning behind that. It's like, I was born in the streets and this is the sounds of the street. Well, basically we all know that this is just the words, just the sounds, but he has some meaning behind that. Who knew? Genius.com knew. And actually, I really recommend you to use this in the class. It's really good, and the students are actually working through the lyrics much more effectively than they did. Previously, on our Urok.com.ua, they created the tests and flashcards and everything. I didn't know about that prior, but now I'm using that, and this is a great resource for flashcards, for testing, for all the other parts. But if you want to go for another one, there is memorize.com. This is not the testing device. This is not the gaming part or anything. I use it personally because there is a nice app for this. When you're going somewhere or you're on the run, you can learn some words or anything. Personally, I use it with my group for destination C1, C2 because the vocabulary is pretty complicated and you have to go through that. So there is also the competition part there going on, and there are much more words that you can actually imagine could be used. So memorize is one of the options. However, as I told you, on Urok.com.ua they have right now very nice resource, and there are a lot of tests already, and there are a lot of flashcards that you could use and ready-made already, so that you do not need to think of that. But this is actually, that's fine. That's the one. All right. As for the words, so they already analyzed the words. They already analyzed the lyrics and everything. So, but they want to get deeper, as I told you. And I recommend personally to use the freedictionary.com. This is the awesome one. So why? Because it's free, it has the application, and it gives you a lot of links, or a lot of links and explanations how it is pronounced, what is going on, and everything. So as you can see in the screenshot, I've got here the word banana going on, and I have like this, its meaning and how it is pronounced in America and Britain. Then you can go for thesaurus, where it can be used for different kind of language. If it was used in medical or legal dictionaries, so you could see it there too. But as you see, there is some link to the financial dictionary, to the acronyms, to the idioms, to encyclopedia, even to the Wikipedia page, which is very useful. I really recommend you to do that. And basically, when you are using this, this is these kinds of websites. So this is one of them. Another one is Cambridge Dictionary for Learners and stuff like that. They see how the language is used, and these dictionaries, they address the British data of different texts. So they are not just taken like out of the head of some teacher or some moderator or something. So basically, this is used for that matter. Another one that where you can use the phrases, you can create some clouds of words, like, you know, like those beautiful ones, is Scale. But you can go for the link, or you can just Google Sketch Engine for Language Learning. I found out about this website like some time ago, and it is actually really good. I personally really recommend you for that, because we have a lot of synonyms. So for example, you enter the word elderly in that website, and you go for the examples, you can see how it is used. You can go for word sketch. It will show you different phrases, different patterns, basically. So elderly people or elderly went for. So how we can use it with the adjectives, with the noun, with all the other parts there. So this is really cool website to use if you want to emphasize a little bit more about the word. Personally, I also like to use it for creating the mind maps of the words, because sometimes, especially as I mentioned before, for the destination part, they have like the word, for example, like concentrate, and they have like the list of phrases, which is not very visual. Students don't get it. It's just like the text, and it's very boring. And this website actually allows them to see it. Oh, it's in the color. Oh, and the synonym is that, and the synonym is that. And this can be used with this, and this can be used with that. And what is cool about this website is actually that you are pressing on the word, and you can go to that link where it could be used, where it was used. All right, so as for the other part, this is a little bit more complicated. I think this one would be a little bit more in the coding part, but still, this is called netspeak.org. I'm pretty sure that you have heard about that sometime before, but here you can enter the word or the phrase and put actually the question mark after, press enter, and it will show you how often is the phrase like that used on the internet. So it's really cool to see if this word is still relevant, is it irrelevant, is it working, is it not, isn't it working, or anything like that. So that's why I really recommend you to try this, at least to try for yourself, because sometimes, you know, I know the phrase is something like go bananas or something like that, but you will be surprised that it's already not so much used. It's used maybe like in the shorter period of time. However, it's very simple website to use. Try this on your own. You can use it in the classroom when you're learning through some idioms or maybe phrasal verbs, or maybe you're going through some specific phrases or collocations out there. And actually they could see, you can enter something like come and a question mark, and you will see that there will be something like come across, come again, come to, come around to, and etc, etc. So some phrases, you will see the ones that are the most used, and you can actually create the worksheet out of that, which would be pretty useful for this. Apart from that, there is, since we're talking about different phrases and the usage of the word, however, yes, we will go for the anagrams too. This is a great tool to make the students think and try to recreate the words. So this is the website, like wordsmith.org. There are a lot of already made anagrams. As you can see, internet anagram servant or rearrangement servant or something like that. There are already made things, for example, like listen and silent, and there are a lot of different ones, so you can actually again use it for the warmer, for the activity where they have to remember how the word is spelled, and they can work it through. It's not only for the internet part, but you can actually use it on the offline basis, so maybe to print out and maybe cut out some words and everything. So this is a really nice one to use. I totally recommend this one. Unfortunately, I don't use it so often as I wished for, but again, it's a nice option to have. If we're talking about some phrases, so here we can actually rearrange the phrase. But if we want to get deeper into the language learning, into the idioms and all the other parts, we can go for the website which is called Phrases.org UK. This is a nice one, however, it's not very big. It has like almost about 2,000 idioms or anything, and it goes for different stories behind the idioms. This goes for origins. This goes for derivations from where it was taken, how it was taken, why it is used, how often is it used, in what sphere it is used, in what field, and what kind of people are there. So basically, what I mean by that is actually when you have the phrases, the idioms, sometimes it's really hard for the students to remember them. And if you give them the story, what was behind that, they will actually remember it much better. So it's, again, you can go for different idioms. So for example, there is another website, I can show it to you, something like Idiom Connection. It has similar situation there, that there is the idiom and there is the meaning and how it is used. And actually, eat the crow. Admit you are mistaken or defeated. So like that. However, they will not think like, oh my god, like eating the crow, what is that? It's the bird, why should I eat that stuff like that? They will not remember that, unfortunately. However, if you give them the story behind this, that it's like the last part that you can make, and this is like the mistake, because nobody eats the crow, basically. People eat poultry, something like duck or chicken, but not the crows out there. What is cool about the website over here that I'm showing right now, like idiomconnection.com, is that they have already made tests for us. Like we, as the energy-saving teachers, we can use it already. You can choose the answer out there. So my friend was forced to admit his mistake when I phoned him, and there are several things going on for you. Again, there are topics for different idioms, how to use them and everything. So basically it's like that. Right now, since we talked that, I would like you to address another really cool website, which is really teacher-friendly and it is really student-friendly. And that is breakingenglish.com. breakingnewsenglish.com. So what it is, basically, there is one teacher, he creates a lot of vocabulary exercises, a lot of listening exercises, just for the sake of the students. So you can go for this website, you can go there, you can click there, and there is already made news. There is listening part for that on different levels, for level 0, 1, 2, 3. There are different speeds out there. There is exercise for listening and filling the gaps. There is the exercise for listening and spelling of the words. There is the exercise for rearrangement of the letters in the word. There is the exercise where you have to make up the question and ask another student out there. So this is a really cool one because you can actually download it if you don't have the access to the internet in your classroom, you can download it and play it in your laptop or phone or whatever you have it out there. So basically, this is like a great treasure for the teacher, especially since we have a lot of going on right now in the ELT community. So this is one of them. This teacher actually, as you can see, has a lot of like mini lessons, speed reading, 5-speed listening, and dictations. This is a native speaker, that's why it's really cool to use his speech during the, maybe you want to use something like dictogloss or something. When they listen, they try to write everything they hear, then they compare, then they listen again to proofread or anything. And maybe after that, you only show them the activity out there. This is a really nice one that you can use during the classroom, and it's really, really teacher friendly. Even if you don't have time to print out something, if you have the board or even just the laptop or the computer, you can just put it there, so on the screen, so they could see the text. Oh yes, I know this phrase, like avoid going somewhere. So, and then you can address different kind of stuff. This website, as I told you, this is like one of the websites that the guy has out there, and the very first one, it's like the compilation of all his websites. It's free ESL-materials.com. So this is Sean Benville. I personally really like to use different things of those. Maybe none of them are like the best, but they are cool for listening, for discussions, for anything. I really like to use the listenaminute.com. So it really brings the speaking to the next level, perception of the language to the next level. Newsenglish.lessons.com, so all the other parts. And you can see that I have highlighted here esldiscussions.com. Because there, it's not just like the discussion, you can choose the topic out there. It's absolutely different ones, starting from the environment and finishing with the films, or maybe with elections, or maybe with the health or exercise, what is his favorite exercise or whatever it is. So, and on this website, they have the differentiation for student A, 10 questions, for student B, 10 questions. And actually you can save a lot of time for yourself, not to think of, oh my God, what questions do they need to make? What they have to do there? What do they have to make up for? And I would tell you that this one is actually really great tool. I personally sometimes don't have time to print it out for my students. I use the randomizer. The randomizer is onlinestopwatch.com, and there you can choose the wheel, copy the questions from this website and just rolling around. My students personally really like it, and they try to speak as much as possible. You can also put the time limit out there so that they could speak for several minutes for working it through. So something like, I want to speak for 2 minutes, okay, and you set the timer, something like in the IELTS there. This is one of the websites that you could use for that. Another website, unfortunately, I don't have the screenshot for that, but I think that you have heard of. This is called bbclearningenglish.com. You can enter to Google this kind of stuff, so bbclearningenglish.com, it will redirect you to the website. There is a great treasure for listening materials, for grammar materials, for worksheet materials, for anything like that you like from London. Oh, sometimes it seems a little bit artificial to me because they are speaking very slowly with very nice British accent. However, sometimes it sounds a little bit fake, to be honest. But they have very nice listening materials, for example, about plays. They have nice listening materials about the idioms they use, about what they have in the news. As for the news, it's actually a great tool, as they take the news from the bbc.co.uk and they adapt it for advanced, for upper intermediate, and for intermediate plus levels, so that you could use that in that way. All right, so, but nevertheless, this is one of the kinds there. I want you to remember that during the class, during the lesson, the students can react to using of these materials absolutely differently. And we have to remember that we've got the force in us as the teachers. So, and what is the force? So the force is basically that you are fantastic, open-minded, remarkable, creative educator. You have to remember that we have this force inside of us. We always have to be like very, not independent, I would say more like confident. We have to understand what we are doing. And as long as we show this to our students, they will understand that, yes, they can do it. They will go for whatever you have for them. They will see what you have for their future, and they will understand that this is not just a link to the website, or it's not just the PPT over there or presentation, or it's not just like the flashcard. They will see what you can do with them. So they will see that it's practical. They will have this language competence that you're trying to give them. Maybe they don't realize what is language competence yet, but they will think, oh, I know, I had this in the language lesson. I want to share it with the world or something. So that's why I want to remind you once again that don't be afraid to use the force, because you are the force of future generations. We will move them forward. We will go for them. So, and we will make them the force of the future machine and everything. So there are plenty more websites that I would like to share with you. However, unfortunately, we are short of time a little bit. So that's why, if you don't mind, I would like to see some of your questions. Maybe how to use it, maybe what to work through. Maybe you have more specific ones about these links that I have shared with you. Just feel free to ask. It's all right. As for the websites that I also use, I really like to use the British Museum website, but not the regular one where you can look at the price of the tickets and everything. This is more let me tell you, this is more like the gaming part, where they have the screens of different, not countries, but parts of the world. There is like Africa, Europe, Asia, America, South America, and all different cultures out there. And you can click on any of the dates out there. So this is like the timeline, and you can click on one. It will show you the picture of this artifact that is in the museum, or maybe it's saved somewhere, or there is the photo of that. There is actually the audio of a guide telling you what is going on, of the guide telling you why it is so important for the history, what is forced through, what is filled in that site. And basically, it also has the transcript for this. It's more like for oral recognition. They can listen, they can read through, they can listen and read at the same time. So there is a lot of parts like that. Okay, what phone apps do you use at the lessons? So personally, as I told before, on the 16th of March, I use Khan Academy a lot. So because I like to go for integrated lessons out there. Khan Academy Kids, if we're talking about the primary schools, about 5th and 6th grade out there. I use Quizlets. Right now I'm using Urok.com.ua with the tests out there. We use a lot of lyrics training. We use also the EnglishIdioms.com. Sometimes if it's the adult students, I teach also the adult ones. So we use the British Council podcasts. It's like with the green icon. It's pretty cool one. I really recommend you to try this once again. There are also something like the English Toolkit, if I'm not mistaken. So there are several more of those, and basically there are a lot of those. So like English idioms, BBC Learning English, there is a nice one. As there is a website, there is also the application. There are plenty more. So again, the Memrise I use sometimes. Sometimes we use Kahoot. I will not deny that. But again, it's more for the primaries, for the 5th or 6th grade, because they like the gaming element of that and everything connected to this. Yeah, Kahoot is nice. Well, however, I tend to get away from that a little bit because they lose the factor of teaching. It's more like the competition already. So then we have resourceful activities. So I would recommend you to try this website that I told you about, the Breaking News English, because it has a lot of resources and you can go for it without anything, so without any preparation. It depends like on the level of the students and the topic over there and anything like that. So the website Randall Sieber Listening Lab. Yeah, for listening training, why not? By the way, if we're talking about preparation for ZNO and anything like this, I would personally recommend to go for British Council like IELTS or FCE if we're talking about Cambridge exams. So they have nice, not preparation, they have nice prep materials already for you with the key, with the previous tasks, with anything connected to this. Yeah, so, and basically also I would recommend you to try for, I don't remember the name, there was something like English Puzzle or something like that, which is pretty cool to use. And one of my colleagues, she actually showed me her research, and she showed me some of the worksheets that she developed. What I also think is really useful is to use during our classes a lot of realias so that they can hear real language, not the one that is very bookish and very correct to pronounce or anything. So there you could be, she took the video from the internet. It was like some funny video where the father was speaking with very British accent in America, in Texas, trying to order something, and his son was actually filming him, and they had to recognize several phrases in that way. So I really would recommend that one too for trying to use the YouTube videos for that matter, because it shows the real life language, and basically you can follow the trends again if you're going for YouTube, and you will be surprised that students could see a lot of videos of those without even understanding what is it funny about, what is it about. And if you show them in the class this video, this again about this guy who was ordering something in the cafe, they would want to actually try to copy that pronunciation. So you never know what could happen to your students. Yeah, as for the yeah, Randall Sieber, that would be all right. So I personally agree with that. For practicing speaking skills, as I told you, I really like to use the discussion mode. I also like to have something like the little discussion in the first place. I use mentimeter.com sometimes for the starting the discussion. I close the results of the voting, and they vote, and then we have a little discussion. Also, the discussion can start even the picture. Something like we had a nice one about PewDiePie and T-Series and their battle and what it means. And again, I was really not astonished, I was really pleasantly surprised how the students were going through this discussion, what vocabulary did they use, and how they were operating the language. And after that, they told, wow, that was amazing. So it's not about our self-esteem out there, it's about the usage of language. This is important to them, and that's why I think like implementing pictures, implementing different questions, and going through that, it would be actually amazing for them to use in that part. So yeah, so speaking skills, pictures, videos, songs, meaning of the songs. Maybe, you know, like before you give the genius.com thing, you could go for the song. They would think, okay, I think this means that, and I think this means that. And you can have even some kind of a clash during your class. So, and then you can open what actually the artist was meaning behind that, and you will see that it would be actually pretty amazing in that way. Okay. So there are a lot of a lot more tools to use. You could go even for Google Forms. You can go for bookwidgets.com for internet quests, or you can go for absolutely other stuff. I really want to emphasize that you are the force and you can experiment with anything, as long as it is used with a purpose, as long as it is used for the sake of the student's knowledge and skills, and not just for the sake of the game. Please remember, if you're using some tool, if you're using some link, you have to use it in terms of the classroom, and it must help the student to enhance their abilities, not just like simply working it through like for the sake of the idea. Right. So maybe there would be any more questions around that. Well, I haven't spoken about like learningapps.com or something, .org, because I think everybody already knows about that. I haven't spoken about the slide share too, because you can use this as well as the speaking part, again, like describing pictures or anything. So there are a lot of ready-made activities there. So there is plenty more that you can find, and personally I would like to address that you can find something on urok.com.ua. There are a lot of actually plans and tasks already made for you that you can just implement to your working space, to your lessons out there. And for this, I think that you can just go for urok.com.ua biblioteca, or you can go for Rozробki. There is even the contest going on for the best thing that you can make for the testing part, or for the things given there. Okay. Oh, thank you. All right. So as for the apps, I have told you what works for me. If we're talking about, by the way, about the other apps, I would recommend to go for Hello Talk. Hello Talk is the app where there are students, and it's live communication between a native speaker and the one who is learning this language. Of course, of course, you have to warn your student that there might be different people there, absolutely, and you can control them, or maybe you should warn their parents that they have installed it. But most of the students, or most of the people that are using this Hello Talk app is actually are really interested in the language, in the improving of their language skills, in the chat part, in anything. Yeah, so TED Talks, yeah, it's great tool actually, but not always, because also I find them a little bit more on the slower side, maybe giving them more like food for thought. I tend to take maybe more like interviews where the speech is a little bit faster. However, it depends on the level. It really depends on the level, on your preference, on the preference of your students. Because, for example, for the IT students, or for those who have analytical minds, like math class or anything, you have to take it a little bit slower, like step by step, and you have to show the video like fully, and they have to understand every single word. If you have like more creative class out there, like again with the music or something, then you can go for that. Yeah. All right. Yeah, ISL Collective is good for downloading worksheets. The internet is like the biggest force out there. You can go for busyteacher.org. You can go for ISL Collective. You can go for, God knows what. So there are lots of them. So you can just type in the topic that you need, and you will instantly have different worksheets for your topics. However, please filter out what you have there, because sometimes there are worksheets with a lot of mistakes. Sometimes there are worksheets that are not relevant to your students. And, you know, I personally didn't have such experience, but I know some of my colleagues or ex-colleagues, they actually were in a hurry. They printed out the first worksheet that came out, and it turned out to be like with the curse words, like with the song, and it was like, okay. So that's why you have to actually address that a little bit and filter out everything that you have there. All right. Yeah, teachthis.com. Yes, this is awesome one. However, it is paid. So there are some free materials for you, but there are a lot of paid ones. There is also paid teachers with free materials for primaries, for secondary, for high school, for anything like that. So for elementary students, I would say that there are lots of those too. And for elementary students, you can go for everything. So as long as you use the communication out there. Okay, yeah, MES hyphen English. This is, take a look in the chat. I personally really like this one to create the puzzles, to create things. However, you can do this on your own with different tools. There are lots of tools right now that are there to create the clouds, to create the worksheets, going on for a lot of stuff there. Yeah, so if you have any more questions, please address me and try to not to lose your force, because you are the force and we have to show this force to our students. I want also to thank you very much for being here with me in this Wednesday evening. I hope that we're going to meet a little bit more often, maybe a little bit later. I will show you some other worksheets, how I create my worksheets in the classroom, what I use for my phones, for my phone, for the tablet, what about the students we have. And if you have any questions, you can address me. I will switch right now to Ukrainian. Якщо у вас є які-небудь питання, будь ласка, звертайтеся до мене, пишіть у коментарях. Можливо, ви хотіли б задати конкретне якесь питання. Можливо, якщо у вас питання німецької мови, як використати це на уроці німецької мови, на уроці французької мови або інших. Як це можна імплементувати у ваш урок та інші. Також я хотіла б звернути вашу увагу, що на сайті на урок.com.ua люди завжди відкриті, ви можете присилати свої розробки, ви можете писати свої плани уроків, презентації надсилати та інше. Думаю, що це буде дуже корисно. Зараз проходять деякі конкурси, то, будь ласка, звертайтеся. Do you have your blog or website? I'm working on that, so stay tuned. Right now I post a lot of information on Facebook. I am working on my blog right now, but I cannot give you the link. It's still a hint a little bit there. So please come again and I will send to you my link. I will show you my link, what is going on in my life and what is going through the teaching processes that I have there. All right. Не забувайте, будь ласка, що ви можете також стати спікером на урок.com.ua, можете заповнити форму, можете зареєструватися заранше, якщо у вас є чим поділитися з учительством, будь ласка, you're welcome, please come. And I actually really would like to see you more. Я б хотіла побачитися з вами ще. So, please, додавайтесь у Фейсбуці і чекаю на вас, на ваші запитання. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, of course.